everyone. My name is Lynne Harford. I am a registered social worker, director of Pediatrics, and clinical supervisor with the Social Work Consulting Group. We are one branch of the FunctionAbility family alongside our partners Entwistle Power Occupational Therapy. We are certainly in some challenging times, and as an organization, we wanted to put together a little bit of a webinar series to kind of talk about some of the key issues that are coming up for our clients and their family members. And I have some really great guests with me today, colleagues of mine. We have Leanne Shapiro, who is our Director of Speech and Language Pathology at FunctionAbility. And we also have Brenda Power Ahmed, who is an occupational therapist and a VP of our client relations with FunctionAbility and Entwistle Power in the Social Work Consulting Group. Welcome, ladies. This is going to be an interesting discussion. How are you both today?
Doing very well today. Thank you, Lynn.
Great. Well, you know, Leanne, it's so interesting. Like in this new world of COVID, we're not meeting each other in person anymore. And so much of what we're doing in our daily life is all this. We're all on screens. We're talking on the telephone. So I imagine that this brings up a number of different challenges for our clients and maybe even some of their family members as we're all navigating this new landscape. Can you talk a little bit about what some of these challenges might be that you're perceiving with some of our clients now?
Absolutely, Lynn. Communication breakdowns via telehealth are fairly common. The screen can freeze, speech is kind of in and out. Other family members walk in on the conversation, cause distractions. It can be hard to tell if a person's speaking to you or someone else in the room. And it can be harder to pay attention to the screen because there's just so much going around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these communication breakdowns can be so frustrating and sometimes very confusing for everyone involved. If a person has difficulty paying attention, following conversations, remembering information, or expressing themselves clearly, speaking on the phone or a video call when you're dealing with poor sound, glitchy technology can only make matters worse.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There's lots of glitchy technology, and hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed that ours stays okay. Fingers crossed. But you know, so with these new challenges, like, do you have any tips and tricks about what we can do to overcome some of these?
I do. You know, the trick to a communication breakdown is to first recognize when it's happening. And secondly, communicate and advocate for yourself and make sure that you keep following the conversation. Don't be shy to interrupt as needed and tell the speaker what you need. So for example, if the speaker is talking too quickly, which I am guilty for often, ask them to speak slower. Say it as many times as needed until your speaker reaches a pace that you are able to follow. If your attention wandered or you didn't understand something, ask them to repeat themselves. Ask them to give the information slower or in smaller chunks. Just make sure that you clarify what you've understood correctly before you move on. If you're worried you're going to forget something, ask the speaker to email you the information or ask them to pause while you write something down. If you're not sure, you know, what the speaker is referring to, ask them to send you a picture or request a break and search it up on the internet. You know, in short, Lynn, you have to really just recognize the challenge and advocate for your needs. Never be embarrassed to take the time to make sure that both you and the other speaker have understood each other correctly. Both will benefit from that.
Oh, such good tips. Thank you so much, Leanne, for sharing. I'm hopeful we're going to make that available in some kind of like handout that clients and people can use directly.
Definitely. It's always good to write things down so you don't have to remember everything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we're going to shift gears just a little bit. And because we're live, I just want to clarify one thing. I know, Brenda, I sort of might have messed up a little bit on your titles, but you are the VP of Clinical and Community Partnerships. Is that correct?
That is right. That sounds like a fancy title, doesn't it?
It does sound like a fancy title. Can you tell us a little bit, just in a quick brief before we get started, what that actually means?
I am a jack of all trades. Basically, I have a team of clinicians that I supervise, Lynn, and I also do a lot in terms of building community relationships. So building relationships with our referral sources and building relationships with the clinicians within the company as well to make sure we're doing the best job that we can, the best job possible for the clients that we serve.
Oh, wonderful. And a certified life care planner, correct?
Absolutely, I am.
Wow. We got so much knowledge within this organization. So wonderful. So yeah, you know, everyone's life has changed with COVID. I will certainly be happy when I don't have to say that word again, but in the meantime, we're kind of all learning how to adapt, and everybody's like daily routines, their habits, you know, being able to go to the gym, do all the things that they used to do has shifted. But most importantly, I find some of our clients, even just with all of this uncertainty and downtime that everybody has, that even like sometimes just getting out of bed in the morning can be one of the biggest challenges that many people might be facing at this point in time. Can you talk a little bit about some tips or strategies that might help people with that?
For sure, Lynn, that is a really good point. I think almost everybody I speak to these days, a lot of my clients are saying, please help me establish some type of routine in my day, right? Because, you know, I'm sleeping all day, or I'm having a hard time getting out of bed. And you know, since I think this is week two now, that it becomes more and more important as time goes on. Maintaining a routine is a really important part of optimal human functioning. So I do have some tips that I go through with my clients, and I try and establish for myself to try and make that routine happen during these trying times. And the first one is set an alarm. It sounds really easy, but you know, set an alarm at a reasonable time every single day and get up out of bed, take a shower, get dressed, and put on some makeup. It'll like actually make you feel really good. And today I did that, and I feel a little bit normal, which is
Me
nice.
too. I put some lipstick on. Yeah, game changer.
You look great. Number two, try setting a schedule for yourself and your family, if that works for your family, and put it on the fridge or put it somewhere where people can see it. And that way, you know, the hours are not running into each other, the days are not running into each other, and your family can have, you know, some work time if that's important to you. If you have to work from home, therapy time scheduled in there if you're a client and you're doing some telehealth or teletherapy from home. There's some physical activity in there, maybe a fun activity, some quiet time, rest time. I think that most people that I talk to have found that to be quite helpful. And one of my colleagues actually suggested that we use the acronym HOME in order to help fill our days, which has been really helpful for me in establishing my daily routine. So for HOME, under H, do something every single day for your health. So that could be for your cognitive health in terms of reading a book maybe, or going for a walk or doing some meditation. Under O, organization. So look at that junk drawer in your kitchen that you've been meaning to clean out for 3 years. Now's the time to take some time and bring some order and organization to that. Or maybe your kids' clothing needs to be changed for the season because it doesn't fit them anymore. Do that and you'll feel productive, and feelings of productivity are very, very important to us as human beings. Under M, meal planning. Don't forget to continue making regular, nutritious meals for yourself and your family. And guess what? Your family and your kids, maybe they're home with you these days. So enlist them, bring them into the activity, and then you have some social communication time as well. And finally, under experience, try and experience something new or something fun every day if you can. So that might be watching a movie or playing a board game with your family, for example. Or if you're feeling really adventurous, download that language app and try and learn a new language if that's been something that you've been meaning to get around to. So hopefully these tips have been helpful, and I try and implement them myself during the day, and it works quite well.
Yeah, those are great tips. I actually wrote down HOME. I think that's a fantastic little acronym, and I love the experience piece. I think that, you know, these times when we're all together and we're not doing all the normal things, it just provides an opportunity to really think outside the box and do something that maybe we never had time to do before. So that's really great. Thank you, Brenda. The other thing I'm hearing a lot of, and I suspect you both are as well, is You know, I know I'm experiencing it a little bit, but, you know, difficulty sleeping. I mean, I think we're all a little bit more worried, a little bit more uncertain about what this all means for us. And so, you know, I think anything that, you know, you can provide in terms of some strategies about how to get a good night's sleep, I think we could all benefit from.
Absolutely. It's happening to myself as well. And almost everybody I talk to, you know, waking up in the middle of the night and being worried and not being able to fall back to sleep again. And it's quite normal when we are going through periods of time of increased stress, increased anxiety, or change, that our sleep patterns can be significantly affected. So basically what we try to do, Lynn, is try and establish a regular sleeping routine. So try and go to bed at the same time or around about the same time every day. Try and get up at around about the same time every day, and your body will eventually become used to that pattern, and hopefully sleeping will come easier for you. Another strategy is to only go to bed and sleep while you're in bed. So if you're a person who you know, likes to play on your laptop or work in bed or eat in bed or maybe even read in bed, if those activities are not facilitating sleep for you and you do have disrupted sleep, try not to do those things, so that when you and your body go to bed, your brain associates being in bed with sleeping, and sleeping will ideally be a little bit easier. Another strategy, if you are in bed and you have not been able to fall asleep, let's say in about 20 minutes, try getting up out of bed, go to a different room, and do an activity for you that is maybe calming or boring, if you will. So if you're sitting in that dark room and you start to feel sleepy, return to your bed, and then hopefully you'll be able to sleep. Some people find that developing sleep routines work well for them. So maybe 15 or 20 minutes before you sleep, maybe you try and meditate or do some deep breathing or have a non-caffeinated tea. And then if this becomes your ritual every single day, again, sleeping ideally will be a little bit easier. Of course, it seems quite simple, but try and avoid substances such as nicotine, caffeine, alcohol a few hours before sleeping. And if you do this over time, then sleeping again will be a little bit easier. And finally, before we close up that question, look at the positioning of your sleeping and the conditions of your physical workspace, or your physical sleeping space, if you will. Your pillow, if it's too soft or too hard, your neck is probably in a poor position and maybe you're experiencing neck pain. Or your mattress, maybe it's too hot, too hard, or too soft, again, causing some back pain. So if you do have an occupational therapist, or if you don't, maybe your physician, you can talk to them about the type of pillow or type of mattress that might be better for you. There's all kinds of mattresses out there: memory foam, gel mattresses, adjustable beds, soft, firm mattresses, and everyone suits different people in a different manner.
Oh,
So
those are such great tips.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it boils down to comfort and again, sleep routines.
Yeah, and you know, you sort of touched upon this sort of idea of work and sleep, and somehow that, you know, people might be working in that bed. I suspect with all this, you know, changing and trying to find space in their homes, which kind of brings us to the last question, which is, so many people are working from home. You know, family members are all together, husbands and wives and kids. And I can only imagine that that brings up a lot of challenges for people about how do they actually stay productive in the course of their day. And I think people would be really interested to hear sort of what strategies you might have for this, Brenda.
Absolutely. And I think this is the one that I'm hearing more and more and more from almost everybody, every client, every colleague, every lawyer, everybody that I talk to. You know, the kids are home, your spouse, your partner's home, if you have one, and everybody is in the same space. So how do we try and be you know, as productive as we can in all of these different roles when we're basically on top of one another, right? And I think my most important advice for this topic, Lynn, is to give yourself some slack. Excuse me. During times of change and increased stress in particular, it's not possible to be the perfect spouse, to be the perfect parent, to be the perfect worker or employee, and that's okay. Like, do the best that you can during the times that we have, and I think people will know that this is the human experience, and we're doing the best that we can. Next, having said that, it's also important to develop the right work-life balance during these times, right? Because you still have these responsibilities as a worker and as a parent, even completing your therapy. If you're a client and you're doing therapies from home, you have to set out the proper conditions for work and the proper times for work as well, so that you and your family can learn to work with that. If you have young kids, for example, and you're trying to work from home, maybe you try and work outside of the hours when your kids are sleeping. So that may mean getting up a few hours earlier than your kids wake up in the morning, for example, spending some time during the day with your kids, and then maybe giving them some screen time or a movie time or a nap time or something in the afternoon, so that you can go back to work, be productive, get your work tasks done, but don't forget to go to bed earlier at night, because you have to remember the self-care during these times as well, because we don't want to experience burnout that will likely result if you try and do too much at once. And then with respect to working from home or completing therapy at home, if you're completing telehealth or teletherapy during these times, consider your physical space as well. Make sure that you have a work area or a therapy area that's dedicated for that task, that's fairly well lit, it has good lighting, and is free of distractions. So if you're working or trying to do therapy in your kitchen, for example, and your sink is full of dishes, or you can see the laundry basket in the corner that's just beckoning you to fold the clothes. That doesn't happen to me a lot, but you know, it may happen to some. You may feel inclined to go on to that task, right? And then that's not productive as well. So ideally, if there's a space that has a door, so if there's a separate room in your bedroom, in your house, that you're able to go in and close the door, and then, you know, your family can be aware that, you know, Mommy's working right now. If you give me this time to get done what I need to get done, then I can return to you later. And maybe they know that when the door is closed, you have to keep the noise down, and maybe that is the time. We're trying to avoid our kids having too much screen time these days, but let's face it, sometimes you need that to happen, and that might be one of those times. And talk to your family about that, you know, and if you have to do a call and your kids, you know, come into the video screen when you're talking, I think people are realizing that, you know, we're all human right now, and people are quite forgiving. So again, go easy on yourself for that as well.
Oh, those are such amazing tips, Leanne. I think we're taking lots of good advice from Brenda.
I know I am. I wish I could have taken notes.
Yeah. Well, and again, back to the idea, I mean, I suspect we're going to create something that, you know, we can have some little takeaway notes for our clients to kind of refer back to, you know, if they need to kind of review these tips. So I just really want to say thank you to both of you for your time. I know we've had so many opportunities to spend some time like this, but I really appreciate it. And, you know, on behalf of all of us, FunctionAbility, the Social Work Consulting Group, and Whistle Power Occupational Therapy, we are sending our very best out to all of you. We hope that you continue to stay safe and healthy as you navigate this very complex crises that we're in. Reach out to the people around you, reach out to your lawyers, reach out to family, reach out to your therapist, get all the support that you can get. And we are certainly here if there is anything that we can provide to you during this time. So thanks again, ladies. Be well.
Thank you.
Take care, and we'll talk soon.
Take care, everyone.